What's up, YouTube fans? Here we are. I am Lucky Sixes. This is Hyper G.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like you referring to it as YouTube fans. They're not fans of YouTube. They're fans of Proxy Table Gaming, which
Yes.
just so happens to be on YouTube.
I mean, the only thing you're on YouTube for is us.
Yes. Well, no one else has ever logged into it for any other reason.
I
So,
think
you
so.
know.
So it's
Yeah,
one and the same, really.
yeah.
Basically
True.
the same company.
Yeah. I mean,
I
you kind of worked my argument against me there. So nice one. Well done.
Hello, YouTube table fans. We are here to do another of our thing. Reviews. However, this is a double whammy for you. In its ogres and
No. It's ogres and a mystery other army.
that's in the thumbnail.
Oh yeah, that.
So wait till the end,
and you'll find out because we do that sort of stuff.
You won't believe what comes at the end of this video.
I know, yeah, that's what everyone does with their videos.
But at the start, you will believe because it's ogre cards and it's on the screen, as you can see. And we're gonna run through all the changes. It isn't a deep dive into the ogre cards book. This is just what changes happened in December 22. And there are some changes for us to get very much into, and I would like to. So let's go. Let's get cracking.
Let's go.
Ogre cards, obviously one of your books. Things. Nothing in the first page. All the same.
Good start.
The children room has gone down.
That's good.
7-10 to 6-8, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it kind of brings it in line a little bit with Awaken the Beast, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean,
because they're pretty much used in a similar way to double the effect, aren't they? So
I mean, now you've got this, you've got Pyro, and you've got Awaken the Beast. You've got so many ways of
three ways of getting that effect. Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, although obviously Pyro does have the boosted version that can affect ranged spells as well. So I think
it's an interesting one to make it cheaper, considering Pyro is in. So I find that really interesting. I think the higher version has gone down because you didn't see that a lot.
No, it's quite niche, needing your shame to be +1 resilience. Really, obviously you would probably only want to cast that if he's in combat and in trouble. But it's still, it's still good. It's still worth having a boosted version,
and a bit cheaper now. So ogres can cheer all round. Onto the big names, and we've got Gut Roarer has changed quite significantly. Actually, it's gained +1 resilience and 35 points extra. So pretty good as a thing.
I'd say so.
Was anyway, I guess.
Yeah, it was all right. It was like an additional thing to have on your shaman, really. And the extra resilience, they're obviously making them a little bit more of a thing for ogres. And combined with what we'll see shortly, shamans as a base cost have got cheaper. So it's an interesting thing that we barely scratched the surface of this change, but everything so far has been about shamans. So
yeah, very much so.
Firebrand
has changed to 3+, but that's just a game-wide thing they're doing.
Barely worth mentioning.
And the Rotten Jaw, the blue text, is literally just a rewording.
Because
immune is now a rule. So otherwise, no change, which is pretty good. On to special items, and we'll stick to the left-hand side. Don't look at the right-hand side just yet.
I'm not going to look. I won't.
Pretty much so. Ritual, pretty much the same. Ritual Bloodletter is you don't get the offensive skill from it. And while the wielder's unit is engaged in combat, it gains channel rather than gaining a veil token if you inflicted a wound. I like this better in terms of the channel side of things.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go aggressive with your shaman and he's got Ritual Bloodletter and the Gut Roarer, then you're getting channel 2 for being in combat. So when you got an extra attack on him as well and an extra resilience, I think that little combo there is going to be worth doing. You got an aggressive list. Yeah,
very much so. We'll scroll down just so I can show you no changes to armor enchantments, and then we'll go to the big one in the army. Liger's Tongue's got cheaper.
Yes, I can't argue that. Oh, it used to be so good. It used to be. I mean, I haven't played Ogres myself for a little while, and I haven't really kept up to date with what other people are playing in Ogres lately. But Liger's Tongue used to be such a cool little. No one else has got an ability like Liger's Tongue, and if people take it, you really need to change your tactics if you've got multi-attack models. And it's gone. They've taken it out.
I guess what it does do is it just stops the Death Star approach becoming very, very,
Super
very
Death
difficult
Star
to beat for some people.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, yeah. So to clarify, it's changed from -1 attack if you're in base contact to -2 offensive skill, which will help on the hitting side. So it's effectively
being hit,
trying to be like a distracting type thing. But yeah, it's not nowhere near as powerful as -1 attack.
It's nowhere near as powerful as distracting, actually, because I mean this will only come into effect if your opponent was hitting on 3s and now is going to be hitting on 4s because their offensive skill goes down by 2.
So if they're offensive 5 or 4, it'll help you.
Yeah, because you're going to be defensive 3 with ogres, normal ogres, or 4 with merc vets, but. Yeah, it's nowhere near as good as -1 attack.
Much more niche.
I mean, obviously, it's a lot cheaper now, so they know that that's not as good an effect.
Oh yeah, it's like 50 points cheaper, but it's a completely different item now.
Yeah, and I'm a bit sad.
Liger's Tongue was the one thing that it definitely. I say the one thing. There are other things, but one thing that helped to put some fear in your opponent as an ogre player.
It was lovely. It was like going to tournaments and people seeing your list. Oh, you've got Liger's Tongue. Oh no. Yeah, I have.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. And no, not going to take it anymore. Simple as that.
That's it. Straight on to characters after that. Well, there's no change in the Great Khan or Khan.
I'm surprised to see no changes in Great Khan because, I mean, again, I'm not up to speed with what everyone's taking these days, but people just take a Khan and a Shaman and leave it at that. So I'm surprised that the Great Khan hasn't got something to make him a bit more appealing. Even a point change might have helped, but then it's a tough one with a very beefy character. You can't make him too cheap. So
but so no changes there. Shaman, obviously, as we've mentioned, has got remarkably
big reduction.
Cheaper.
Amazingly cheaper. It's incredibly cheap for a 4 HP model.
Yeah, 35 points down. I mean, the big reason is Res 5 down to Res 4.
Which is probably why Gut Roarer has got the option of getting a plus resilience to it. You're paying for it in Gut Roarer rather than in the Shaman.
Yeah, so again, we sort of said about the minus reduction. Risk 4, how big is that? The Ogre players get on and tell us below.
It is a
huge thing. It does make the Gut Roarer less impressive that they've done that. So,
although of course, if you are rocking Shamanism, then you're only getting wounded on 5s anyway. So, possibly not as big a deal as it could be.
But slight change on effect. Mammoth Hunter has stayed the same. The Tusker has got cheaper.
I think it needed to, and it needed to because it wasn't really an option you could take, especially as the fact that it couldn't join units of Tuskers. I don't think it can still. Interesting. Obviously, it's still got the loner rule, but they've explained it as exclusive, so that's okay. Yeah, I was catching up with myself as I was speaking.
I think it's loner and exclusive is in there because
it's with Yetis
of the other things. So I don't know.
I suppose because
if mounted, it gains exclusive. Cannot join any unit. Model with loner cannot join it. Mate, it's just got some additional things. But it's just a rewording. It's not actually got any worse or better. But Tusker, you can get them on a Tusker now for a bit cheaper, 15 points cheaper. So
I think that's good.
No change in the actual mount stats or anything like that. Over to Tribesmen. It doesn't come with paired weapons as standard.
No.
Although it kind of does because they're free. The only thing I see this doing is catching a few people out on the first or second tournament they go to by not writing paired weapons in there.
Potentially.
Because you have to use it as an actual choice. You have to choose it.
I'd imagine new recruit, if you're using that, it would force you to make one choice.
But presumably you could have hand weapon and shield. Oh no, they don't come with the shield.
They don't have shields, but
I don't. Yeah, I'm not quite sure why they decided.
It is a must choose, but
But yeah, is what it is. Bruisers haven't changed. Scrapplings. So they lost a bit similar to.
They've lost the Scrappling Foreman.
Yeah, what was that? What else was that?
The Vassal in the ID. The Vassal.
ID.
Yeah.
That's the one. So they've lost that chap. But effectively, the new rule back to work gives them the discipline, the reroll.
It's in there still anyway.
That it basically gave them as an extra.
It strips out half a page of army book, so yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, no change in points or nothing.
Nope.
On special and saber-tooth tigers.
This is interesting.
So the first thing we'll talk about is the points for extra models. Gone up ever so slightly, so it's 24 to 30. I like that because it's a round number, although they did miss 25. I'll give you that. Extra support 2 is an interesting thing that they've added, so you can rank them up or put them in the second thing and get some extra attacks, which is cool.
Yeah, instead of losing 2 attacks, you only lose 1.
But the biggest thing for them is now 8. You don't have to get 8 to count towards core. You only have to be 5.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. And what would the extra cost for additional models? You know, if you move that to being in core, you're paying more into your core tax, which isn't necessarily as bad a thing as you might think. So it's an interesting one.
You actually pay less though for a core unit, don't you? Because it's 5 rather than 8.
Yes, indeed.
Technically.
Yes, indeed. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can still take 8 or 10 or whatever and pay out core. But,
I mean, from what I'm seeing there, could you not have a unit of 20?
You can. Yeah,
I'm trying to look to say why
you could have 3 units of 5.
Has anybody run a unit of 20? I want to know. I want to know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's been done. I can't remember the details.
But it comes from core if it does, so that's good. Shrapnel Trappers, they've added Overrun move, I think.
And maybe that was just an oversight.
And I think that just means that it's every time they move that isn't a normal move. I think that's all that... I think I've seen those sorts of things in like KO or something like that as well.
There's advanced movies in there as well, so it's every kind of move, actually.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, well, I think maybe Overrun just wasn't mentioned, and maybe on one occasion.
Every single one apart from Overrun. It was the one niche from it. But otherwise, no points, no stats changes.
Yeah.
Yetis are the same, Kinetas the same, Tuskers Cavalry are the same. Mercenary Veterans.
This is a really interesting.
Yeah, so I'll
load
try
of changes.
Scroll down so you can see the whole. I can't do it. I'm not skilled enough. But computer scrolling. Hey, so basically, they've got cheaper to start off with. So your basic veterinaries have got cheaper. However, you now have to pay veterinaries. I'm calling them.
Yeah,
it's all right, isn't it? And none of the weapon choices or anything have changed. However, the battle scarred choices you now have to pay for separately. It's only 5 or 10 points, so it's not huge. And with one, it's only 5 or 10 points. Each one is one of a kind, so that's similar to what it was before. I don't know yet how the points tally, but I still think it looks to me.
It still looks cheaper. Absolutely, it does. And what's interesting is that you mentioned battle scarred, but battle scarred is actually gone because now it's up to 2 choices. You don't even have to give them any of them if you don't want to anymore.
Yeah, sure.
So it's a really cool little mechanic. I mean, you could just rock Mercenary Veterans and use them as the stats suggest without any of these upgrades if you want to. I mean, I would argue that these upgrades are generally quite good upgrades.
Yeah, for sure.
And relatively cost effective, even with some increases here and there. But it gives you a lot more options and probably cheaper than it was. So
I think it does look cheaper. Maybe not poison attacks. I think that might be the one that puts them over. But even then. So that's basically the change. Nothing in terms of mechanics. That's all the same. It's just a few points changes, and you have to pay for them.
Going to poisoned attacks, just to give you an example, the Mercenary Veteran, the extra model cost has gone down, I think, from 80 to 65. So that's your 15 points right there.
88 it was, so...
Well, there you go. So, so that's your poisoned attacks right there.
True,
poison attacks for free, and that's the case. So
and the original 3 220 down to 180. So yeah, no, it should be a cheaper unit. So overall, should be happy and a bit more.
I'd expect to see more of them, and I don't think they weren't taken. So it's really interesting to focus a lot of the change on this unit.
Well, I guess with Liger's Tongue going down, it's not a terrible thing that they're. I mean, Liger's Tongue was just such a good thing for every single unit, though.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I guess this change just baffles me a little bit. I'm fine with it. I like it, but the previous page where you were talking about Tusker Cavalry, Kin Eaters, and Yetis, I mean,
not touched.
Surely they were the ones that needed a bit of a boost. Sure. So yeah, strange.
Thunder Cannon has. I mean, if we look at cannons overall, it's lost clip wings. It has gained Swift Stride and it's gone down 5 points. So
it's interesting. Did it need to gain Swift Stride being a construct? Do all constructs have Swift Stride?
That's what I thought, but I assumed that them adding it in, constructs don't automatically get it. They can't.
Maybe so.
I don't know personally. I thought that as well, but
it must be necessary.
Either way, it's gone down 5 points. But you've lost the extra clip wings, so. Yeah, it's a bit of a change.
I'm not sure it was really taken because it's a bit too much of a bulky cannon, really. But yeah, it's useful against some lists. So,
but yeah, otherwise in the rest of the powder keg category has stayed the same. Rocker Rocks have stayed the same. Frost Mammoths have stayed the same, and finally the Slave Giant, despite all of that wording and blue text,
is the same.
It's basically just the rage is a. The rulebook rule and deafening clamour
as well
is the rule, which takes up all that text. Which so it really means there's not a lot of changes. The big one being Liger's Tongue, and a few just little ones here and there.
Shamans,
But as we're seeing with a lot of these books, there isn't a huge amount of changes, which leads us on to our next book. Actually, and why on earth we decided to do a
double update,
a double update. Orcs and Goblins, shock horror. Did you get it right?
Did I get what right? Oh, did they?
The viewers.
I got it right. I mean, you told me. I didn't even see the thumbnail. But hey,
I know. before the thumbnail even exists.
Indeed,
So Orcs and Goblins, obviously the biggest. Reason they don't have much of a change is they've got the lab coming.
Very excited.
I think we think that the main reason there wasn't any because that's going to happen. So why change it too much when in a few months' time there's going to be a whole big change?
And I think there are going to be changes. I don't know much about them, but I expect there to be big changes
for sure. But I mean, Orcs and Goblins as a book's pretty good. As we know, there's a lot of variety and things like that. The things they have changed. So the Tuck Text Guard hasn't changed. It's just a wording change because of immune lethal strike.
Yeah, so that's one change that you can chalk off.
So that is one, and we'll count it as a change because there's so little changes.
It's blue text,
So as you see, the characters are all the same. Apart from when we get to Goblin Witch Doctor, which has a Wizard Apprentice added as standard. Is that just a wording change? Because I'm sure it used to be an apprentice, even if it didn't say it.
It always was. I think just trying to open the old book just to.
It didn't have it on it.
No, basically, I think it was Magic Options was listed as Wizard Apprentice points naught. Or something like that.
No, I mean, in the last book, it wasn't in there at all. So I don't know whether people just assumed you'd have to go adept. I don't know. I'm sure I saw apprentices out there. But
or maybe before you couldn't be an apprentice. I don't know.
But if it does, then really cool. You get to play with apprentices, so cheaper.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. But
oh no, you're right. Yeah, it doesn't mention it at all.
I don't know whether that's a typo, if I'm honest. But if it wasn't, then you've gave an apprentice option. So
because it wasn't even must choose Wizard Adept or Wizard Master.
So
that's really cool. I would have loved to have played around with that.
Yeah.
Not that a Goblin Witch Doctor without magic is any good at all.
Yeah, for sure.
I suppose 105 points for a Chaff Goblin. but
I mean, can't
it's not
grumble at
the
that.
most expensive chaff unit. So
yeah, and as you can see, I'm going through the whole rest of the book. Up to trolls right now. No changes. No changes. I mean, if you have tuned in for this,
there was one change that we haven't talked about. The cave gnasher in the character mount is exclusive rather than like gnasher dashers and cave gnashers.
Right,
it's the same as it was, but it's just one of the changes.
So,
again, it's nothing worth worrying about.
So as far as I can see, there's no other changes until we get to Grotlings, where they've gained extra support 3.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Which is the way that it looks like the old Swarm models are going, basically.
Yeah, so I think so.
That's fine. Really pleased to see. I know that a lot of people, when they saw the Beast Herds update, were seeing Gortax losing Stubborn and saying, Gargantula, you're coming next.
Yeah.
But no, Gargantula has kept Stubborn, at least for now.
Yes.
So, woohoo.
So that hasn't changed at all.
Yeah.
Which is good. And otherwise, I'm just trying to remember. I don't think there was anything else.
No, I don't think so.
And it takes us a quick reference. So, yeah, I mean, we'll go all the way down to the changelog because it's literally 4 bullet points.
Yeah.
No, hardly any change whatsoever. So if you're playing what you're playing, don't worry, your list's safe.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I love Orcs and Goblins and very much have fun with them. So as well as I'm looking forward to the new book, at least this way we can carry on into that new book without worrying too much about any little changes in the meantime.
Yeah. But get on those Goblin apprentices, boys and girls.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you were rocking Goblin Witch Doctors without any magic before, now your fun's over, people. You know, it's been stamped on. Don't do that anymore.
But yeah, no, otherwise, guys, thanks very much for tuning in. Hope do like, share, subscribe, and click on the notification tab so that you can see all the rest of our reviews. We're in the last patch now, so if you've kept with us up to now, well done. And if
you haven't, what are you playing at?
Well, yeah, go check all the others out. But also, like the other reviews, we do like all the comments. So keep the comments coming.
It's really cool.
A flood of comments and loads
really
of people
testing us for like being able to keep up with them. We try.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're really being tested.
And we're loving it at the minute. So there's some new people commenting, and thank you very much for that. Some golden oldies as well, and Tommy Tucker throwing in the odd insult. So it's
justified.
It's maybe so. He's certainly got a Liger's tongue, hasn't he? But yeah, we'll leave you there for now. We've got plenty more to do. So
yeah, we really have. We need to get on with the next one. Stop talking.
Yeah. So we'll leave it there. See you later.